Who was Cain's mysterious wife? This question has stirred the minds of theologians, historians, and seekers for centuries. In the biblical account, Cain stands out as humanity's firstborn and first murderer, a man condemned to wander, his soul marked by an unforgettable crime. But as Cain's journey unfolds in the book of Genesis, we meet a surprising figure, his wife. She appears suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, sparking endless questions. If Adam and Eve were the first and only humans created, how could Cain have a wife? Where did she come from? Could her existence point to a hidden chapter in the story of creation? Today, we're diving deep into this mystery, taking you back to the dawn of time, where life outside Eden lay untouched and unknown. While Cain's tragic act is well known, the life he built beyond his sin is lesser explored but equally compelling. After his exile from Eden, Cain found companionship, founded a city, and raised generations. Beside him through this was a woman as shrouded in mystery as Eden's lost gates. But was she truly just one of Adam and Eve's daughters, or does her presence suggest another origin? Join us as we unravel Cain's story and hers, an unknown woman whose life challenges the biblical narrative's simplicity and expands our view of humanity's beginnings. Her existence poses questions about love, redemption, human resilience, and the very structure of early human societies. By the end, you'll find this mystery is more than a historical question. It's a portal into the essence of faith, morality, and the deep human desire to understand our past. In this journey, we'll explore ancient theories, unpack layers of biblical and historical context, and dive into the enigma of Cain's wife and their lineage, a tale that's as timeless as it is tantalizing. So, hold tight. We're about to step into an ancient mystery, as profound and puzzling as the first sunrise on Eden. In the beginning, the world was untouched, pristine, and filled with divine purpose. Amidst this virgin wilderness, where rivers flowed freely and mountains stretched under a sky untainted by time, God breathed life into Adam and Eve. They were not only the first humans, but also the first to carry the weight of divine expectation. Placed in Eden, a paradise where innocence was their birthright, they lived in harmony with the natural world and with their Creator. Yet within this paradise lay the seeds of choice and consequence, bound together by the knowledge of good and evil. From their union, humanity took its first steps in the form of their son, Cain. His arrival was momentous, marking him as the firstborn of the human race, a position of unique honor and profound responsibility. Cain's life, unfolding beneath the vast Eden skies, was intertwined with the rhythms of nature. Under Adam's watchful eye, Cain learned to tend the earth, to sow seeds and gather crops, and to understand the cycles of life, growth, and harvest. These were lessons essential not only to survival, but to the spiritual legacy Adam hoped to pass on, a reverence for the land and an understanding of humanity's role as stewards of God's creation. Eve, his mother, shared stories that brought both beauty and caution into Cain's world. Around fires in the cool of evening, with stars flickering like silent witnesses, she would tell him about Eden's perfection and the fateful day they had chosen knowledge over innocence. She spoke of the serpent, whose cunning had led them to the forbidden tree, and of the profound consequences that had shaped their new existence outside paradise. These were not simply bedtime stories. They were profound reminders of loss, hope, and the cost of wisdom. It was against this backdrop, one of love, legacy, and caution, that Cain grew into a man. In the course of time, another son, Abel, joined the family. Abel's talents lay not in the soil but among the animals, tending to the herds with a gentleness that mirrored the innocence once known by his parents. While Cain brought forth life from the earth, Abel found his purpose in nurturing living creatures. Together, these two sons embodied different aspects of human existence. The farmer and the shepherd, two distinct paths bound by a shared origin and a common purpose. But even in these early days, hints of discord stirred between the brothers. Perhaps it was inevitable, given the contrasts in their personalities and the shadow cast by their parents' past decisions. Still, under the watchful eyes of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel's relationship was not yet strained by envy or bitterness. Each brother pursued his calling with a measure of pride, preparing for the day when they would bring their offerings to God, a sacred moment meant to honor the Creator and reflect the fruit of their labor. Yet beneath the surface of their peaceful lives, the weight of legacy pressed upon Cain. He bore the expectations of being firstborn, of continuing his family's lineage, and of restoring a piece of the paradise his parents had lost. His hands, calloused and weathered from tilling the earth, carried the burden of proving his worthiness to both his family and to God. And while Abel's tasks seemed lighter, Cain felt every stone he moved, every crop he sowed, as a testament to his connection with the Creator. He knew that his offering would need to reflect not only his hard work, but also his heart. A heart shaped by a desire to transcend his parents' mistakes and draw close to the divine. Yet even as Cain toiled, a subtle tension began to settle over the first family, a tension born of unmet expectations, silent judgments, and the looming question of divine favor. The story of humanity was only beginning, but within its first few chapters, seeds of rivalry, ambition, and spiritual yearning were being sown, seeds that would grow into something far darker than anyone could foresee. In this early world, under the stars and by the light of dawn, Cain and Abel stood poised to make their offerings, unaware of the fate that awaited them and of the mysterious legacy they were about to leave. Cain and Abel's lives were woven together from the beginning, like two branches springing from the same root, yet growing in different directions. While Cain's hands were hardened by the earth, Abel's were gentle, accustomed to the delicate work of caring for animals. The contrast between them became a subtle source of tension, one that deepened with each passing season. Yet, despite their differences, they were bound by blood and by the shared burden of their family's legacy. In the quiet days of their youth, their rivalry was a gentle undercurrent, a hint of competition perhaps, but nothing more. As they grew, this undercurrent became a stronger force, pulsing with unspoken expectations. The day of the annual offering drew near, a sacred tradition that represented their gratitude and devotion. Abel, with a pure and unassuming faith, selected the finest lamb from his flock, a creature as gentle as its keeper, symbolizing innocence and devotion. As he prepared his offering, his heart was filled with a simple yet profound faith, a faith that resonated with the purity of his gift. Cain, too, approached his task with sincerity. He meticulously chose the best produce from his harvest, an array of grains and fruits he had cultivated with his own sweat and dedication. As the eldest, he felt the weight of expectation. This offering was not only a symbol of his labor, but also of his standing before God. He believed his work honored the Creator, for he had brought life from the soil, coaxing forth the bounty that sustained his family. In every way, he believed his offering would show his devotion as clearly as Abel's. But when the time came, and their offerings lay before the altar, a stark divide emerged. Abel's offering was consumed in a blaze of heavenly fire, a sign of divine favor and acceptance. Cain's offering, however, remained untouched. The smoke from his altar rose slowly, mingling with the air but never reaching heaven. God's silence fell heavily over Cain's heart, a void that seemed to mirror the unyielding earth. It wasn't merely rejection, it was a message, a mark that set him apart from his brother in a way he couldn't comprehend. At that moment, something inside Cain began to break. The countless hours spent laboring under the sun, the pride he had taken in his work, all seemed to evaporate in the face of God's apparent indifference. His devotion felt mocked, his efforts dismissed, and the silence from above echoed with a kind of finality that cut deep. Cain's heart twisted with feelings he had never known before. Envy, bitterness, and a simmering anger directed not just at Abel, but at the Creator, who seemed to favor his younger brother. From that day forward, brotherly love began to erode, giving way to resentment. Abel, unaware of the inner turmoil his brother was suffering, continued to live in his quiet way, his life seemingly blessed by an ease and peace that Cain found unbearable. To Cain, it appeared as if every glance, every silent moment of contentment in Abel's life was a reminder of his own rejection. The once dormant seed of rivalry had sprouted into something darker, fed by a sense of injustice and a growing bitterness. Then came the fateful day, an afternoon heavy with heat and tension. Cain invited Abel to walk with him in the fields, a simple request from an older brother to the younger, but one charged with a purpose Abel could not perceive. The earth, the very soil Cain had labored over, became the setting for what was to unfold. They walked together, Abel unaware of the storm brewing within Cain's heart. When they reached a secluded area, far from their parents' eyes, the conversation turned quickly from questions to accusations. Abel's calm attempts to understand his brother's pain only served to fuel Cain's anger, turning it into a rage he could no longer control. The feeling of rejection and the bitterness it had planted took over, like a fire-consuming dry brush. In an impulsive act that would forever alter the course of humanity, Cain picked up a stone, a simple, sharp piece of earth, and brought it down upon Abel. The blow was fatal. The silence that followed, deafening. As the blood of Abel soaked into the ground, Cain felt an overwhelming emptiness settle upon him, a weight of guilt and consequence he couldn't escape. He had crossed a line, one that could never be uncrossed, and in doing so he had committed the first murder, a sin that would echo through generations, a mark on the human soul that would haunt him for the rest of his days. When God confronted Cain, it was not with the wrath he might have expected, but with a sorrow that seemed to fill the heavens. The Creator's voice pierced through Cain's guilt, not with anger, but with a question. "Where is Abel, your brother?" This question, simple but charged with divine knowledge, was a call for confession, an opportunity for Cain to face the truth of his actions. But instead of repentance, Cain responded with defiance and despair, uttering the words that would define his alienation. "Am I my brother's keeper?" This response sealed his fate. God pronounced a curse over him, not only condemning him to a life of wandering, but forever changing his relationship with the earth he had once tended. From that moment on, Cain was marked not simply as punishment, but as a sign of protection, a paradox of judgment and mercy that only the divine could bestow. When Cain left Eden, he did so with the weight of divine rejection, burdened by the knowledge of his brother's blood staining the earth. He was marked by God, not only as a fugitive, but with a sign that served both to punish and to protect. Condemned to roam, Cain was given a chance at survival, but stripped of the comfort of home, community, and the familiar landscapes he once knew. Now he ventured into the unknown lands east of Eden, into the wilderness, where shadows of despair and loneliness seemed to haunt him at every turn. Yet, in his wanderings, something unexpected occurred. Cain found a companion, a woman whose presence would spark endless curiosity and countless theories throughout history. The biblical text introduces her without a hint of origin or lineage, presenting her as Cain's wife with no explanation. Who was she, and how could she exist if Adam, Eve, and their children were the first and only humans? Here we dive into three compelling theories about the origins of this mysterious figure. The first and most widely accepted theory is that Cain's wife was one of his sisters or close kin, a child of Adam and Eve. Though the Bible doesn't specifically mention other daughters, Genesis 5:4 states that Adam had other sons and daughters beyond Cain, Abel, and Seth. According to this interpretation, Cain's wife would have been a sister or cousin, born into this early generation where sibling unions were a necessity for survival. At the dawn of humanity, such unions were likely inevitable. With the divine mandate to be fruitful and multiply, these early humans faced a unique situation that required family members to marry within the same close circle, ensuring the propagation of the species. This necessity, however strange to modern readers, would later become prohibited under the laws of Leviticus. In this time, however, sibling marriage was not only permissible, but vital, seen as a divinely sanctioned measure for humanity's early days. This perspective gives a practical explanation, suggesting that Cain's wife was part of an unrecorded lineage from Adam and Eve, bridging the gap in our understanding of the first families. An alternative theory posits that Cain's wife may not have been directly descended from Adam and Eve. Instead, it suggests that God may have created other human beings in different regions, separate from Adam's lineage, as part of a broader vision for populating the earth. According to this theory, while Adam and Eve were placed in Eden as a unique pair, other humans may have been created beyond the garden. These groups would have existed independently, forming communities and living parallel lives, unknown to the family in Eden, until Cain's journey into exile. When Cain wandered eastward, he would have encountered these other people, one of whom became his wife. A third theory views Cain's wife as a symbolic figure, representing humanity's expansion and resilience beyond Eden. According to this interpretation, her mysterious appearance is less about genealogy and more about the broader story of human development. Cain's wife embodies the shift from family-based survival to communal and societal growth. In marrying and founding a family with Cain, she signifies the beginning of organized society, a movement away from the isolation of Eden's few inhabitants to the interconnectedness of cities and civilizations. This theory places less importance on her specific origins and more on the cultural and symbolic role she plays in the narrative. By starting a family with Cain and bearing his descendants, she represents humanity's adaptability and the continuation of life, even after sin and violence have tainted it. In this way, Cain's wife becomes a metaphor for humanity's persistence, the beginning of a journey that would unfold into the complexities of social structures, culture, and collective survival. In the loneliness of his exile, Cain's encounter with this woman, whether divinely placed, kin, or part of another human community, changed his course. She did not judge him for his past, did not question the stain of his sin, but rather chose to walk beside him, sharing in his exile and in his desire to create a life beyond the past. For Cain, whose existence had become a dark shadow of guilt, her companionship offered a sense of redemption. Through her, he began to see the possibility of a life that transcended his crime. From their union was born Enoch, Cain's first son, who became a beacon of hope in Cain's attempt to reinvent himself. In naming his son Enoch, Cain signified a new beginning, a desire to leave behind the mark of violence and instead create a legacy based on resilience and renewal. Yet, fatherhood only intensified his desire to give his son a place to grow and a family to stand by him. Driven by this hope, Cain made a decision that would forever change his story. He would build a city, a place that could stand as a sanctuary for his family, a refuge from the loneliness and wandering that had once defined him. With Enoch's birth, Cain's life took on a renewed purpose. No longer solely defined by his guilt and rejection, he became a father with a vision. This vision gave him the strength to challenge his curse, to transform his punishment into a mission of resilience. But founding a city was no easy feat. He and his family faced the harsh realities of survival, with nature as their relentless companion and adversary. Each day began at dawn and ended at dusk, filled with labor, construction, and planning. Every stone they placed and every shelter they built was a testament to their determination to defy isolation and loneliness. As Enoch grew, Cain's city expanded. Named in his son's honor, the city of Enoch became the first human settlement after Eden, a place that symbolized unity and progress. It was a sanctuary where Cain's descendants and others could gather, learn, and protect themselves from the challenges of the wilderness. Under Cain's guidance, this city became a center of innovation, where skills were developed, traditions were established, and the foundations of civilization were laid. For Cain, building this city wasn't just a way to ensure survival, it was an act of defiance against his past. The city represented his struggle for redemption, his attempt to leave behind a legacy that would outshine the darkness of his sin. While he would forever carry the mark of his crime, the city allowed him to rewrite part of his story. Every brick, every structure, every life that flourished within Enoch's walls became part of a new chapter. A chapter where Cain's life was not only defined by murder, but by resilience and growth. As he watched Enoch and his descendants grow, Cain found a measure of peace. The city became a testament, not to his fall, but to his rise from it, a place where love, family, and legacy stood as reminders that redemption, however distant, was still possible. With Enoch's birth, Cain's life took on an urgent sense of purpose. Driven by his desire to protect his son from the loneliness of exile and to create a sanctuary for his family, Cain set out to build a city. This city would be his legacy, a monument to his attempt at redemption and a shield against the hostile world around them. In choosing to build, Cain defied the isolation that his punishment had once promised. His city would be a place of refuge and growth, a tangible rejection of the exile that had defined his existence. The construction of the city of Enoch was both a physical and symbolic act. It represented the first steps of humanity toward organized society, away from the primitive survival tactics Cain had once known. Cain worked tirelessly alongside his family, teaching them skills and imparting the knowledge he had acquired during his years of working the land. In the eyes of his descendants, he was no longer just the cursed man who bore a mysterious mark. He was a builder, a visionary, a man who transformed punishment into progress. The process of building wasn't without its challenges. Cain and his companions faced harsh conditions as they worked, toiling under the sun by day and resting in makeshift shelters by night. Nature presented constant threats, unpredictable weather, wild animals, and the unrelenting effort it took to cultivate the earth. Yet, every stone they laid and every wall they erected brought them one step closer to a place they could call home. The city began to take shape. Walls rose, pathways were carved, and a community emerged where none had existed before. Cain named the city after his son, Enoch, honoring the new generation that represented his hope for the future. He poured his heart and labor into this city, and it became a reflection of his desire to transcend his past. It was a city of firsts, the first human settlement, the first attempt at collective living, and the birthplace of society itself. This wasn't just a place to live. It was a statement, a challenge to the divine curse, and an attempt to create a legacy of unity and resilience. In the city of Enoch, Cain and his family began to develop a social structure that would lay the foundation for the communities to come. This early society grew from the need to survive and prosper in a world that was often harsh and unforgiving. Marriage and family became central to their survival strategy, binding them together through kinship and mutual responsibility. One of the most striking features of these early days was the practice of marriage within the family, a custom that, by today's standards, might seem unusual, but was essential for the growth of humanity. In this first generation, Adam and Eve's descendants had no choice but to marry within the immediate family. Brothers married sisters, cousins joined in unions, and these bonds strengthened the fragile structure of society in a way that was accepted and even expected. In this early context, these marriages were not just permissible, they were seen as a divinely sanctioned means to fulfill God's command to be fruitful and multiply. As time went on, these close familial unions created a tight-knit community in which each member was bound by blood and shared history. This foundation allowed the community to grow in unity, relying on one another for survival and for passing down traditions, values, and skills. Over time, the relationships forged within Cain's city of Enoch gave rise to a culture that valued family bonds, mutual protection, and resilience in the face of adversity. While Cain's actions had set him apart as a marked man, the divine response to his journey was complex. God's curse had placed him in exile, yet this punishment carried a unique duality, judgment intertwined with mercy. The mark God had placed upon Cain served not only as a consequence but as a shield, a reminder that, despite his crime, Cain's life was still in God's hands. This mark and Cain's journey are rich in spiritual symbolism. They suggest that humanity's relationship with God is one of profound mystery, where punishment and protection often coexist. Cain's life became a meditation on divine justice and mercy, an example that even in the darkest acts of humanity, God's presence remains. Through Cain, the narrative highlights a complex truth. Sin carries consequence, but divine protection endures, showing that God's relationship with humanity is marked by both justice and compassion. Cain's city of Enoch was, in many ways, an embodiment of this paradox. The very existence of the city was an act of defiance against the curse of wandering. By building a city, Cain showed that humanity had the power to shape its destiny, to transform punishment into purpose. His city was a statement of resilience, a reflection of God's mercy in allowing him a chance at redemption and family. As Cain watched his descendants grow within Enoch's walls, he found a measure of peace, realizing that his journey, though marked by tragedy, had led to a legacy of perseverance. Cain's wife, often overlooked in the biblical narrative, represents humanity's ability to adapt and endure. Her presence signifies the continuation of life, the resilience of the human spirit, and the determination to forge ahead despite uncertainty and hardship. Her role in Cain's life highlights an essential truth, that even after the darkest moments, life continues, and from brokenness can come growth. Together, Cain and his wife symbolized humanity's determination to rise from sin, to build families and communities that carry forward the hope for a better future. Their union was not just a means of survival, it was an act of faith in the possibility of redemption. Through her, Cain found a companion willing to share in his struggle, someone who represented both the possibility of new beginnings and the ability to endure. She bore his children, each of whom carried a legacy marked by both sin and resilience, a legacy that would become humanity's own. Her mysterious origins only deepen her symbolic significance. She serves as a reminder that humanity's story is not one of isolation, but of interconnectedness, of families and communities rising together, adapting to the challenges of each generation. Through Cain's wife and the generations that followed, the story of Enoch became a story of redemption, resilience, and the forging of human identity. Cain's story resonates far beyond his life and times, serving as a profound commentary on humanity's relationship with divine will, justice, and mercy. His journey, from exile to builder, from brother to father, represents the complex interplay of sin, forgiveness, and legacy. It's a tale that speaks to humanity's deepest fears and highest aspirations, reminding us of the dangers of envy, the weight of guilt, and the possibility of redemption through resilience and determination. Cain's decision to build a city rather than remain in wandering exile underscores humanity's capacity to choose purpose over punishment, progress over despair. The city of Enoch became a testament to the human spirit's refusal to be defined by its worst actions. Instead, it embraced the potential for renewal and community, laying the groundwork for the societal norms and moral codes that would shape humanity's future. The story of Cain's wife, this mysterious figure whose origins remain unexplained, offers us a glimpse into the complexities of humanity's earliest days and the resilience that defines our spirit. Her presence symbolizes the unknown elements of our faith journey, inviting us to look deeper, question boldly, and embrace the mysteries that shape our beliefs. Whether she was a sister, a stranger, or a symbol, she stands as a testament to our power to transcend, adapt, and build a world beyond what we can see. As we reflect on Cain's story, we realize that it's more than a cautionary tale. It's a mirror to our own lives, filled with moments of failure, redemption, and legacy. His story challenges us to look within, find purpose in hardship, and create something lasting. The mystery of Cain's wife invites us to reflect on our own connections, choices, and how we shape the world around us. If this exploration has resonated with you, make sure to like this video. It helps us continue bringing these powerful stories to life. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into ancient mysteries, biblical insights, and the stories that shape our world. We'd also love to hear from you, so comment down below with your thoughts. Who do you think Cain's wife was? What role do you believe she played in humanity's origin? Let's keep the conversation going and build a community united by curiosity and faith.